Hi everyone, Jeff Roney here with Keller Williams Realty, Syracuse. Good to see you all again. Today we're going to talk about appraisals. There's a little confusion out there from time to time about what an appraisal is, what the purpose of an appraisal is, and who orders the appraisal, how it's done, etc., etc. So anyway, I just want to try to shed a little bit of a light on that. It may generate some questions that you could send to me or ask me that I can help to clarify. But generally, an appraisal is done by a licensed or certified appraiser. Some appraisers are also a member of the National Association of Realtors, and if they are, they must adhere to the Code of Ethics. But it's a third-party, independent person who does a third-party, independent opinion of value on a property that's being purchased. So let's say, for instance, you've got an offer in on a property, it's been accepted, and you are getting a mortgage. If you're a cash buyer, an appraisal probably won't be part of the process, but if you're a cash buyer, it probably will be. And you'll pay for an appraiser, you'll pay your lender for that, and then the appraiser will have a process that they use where they've got a number of appraisers that are kind of in their queue, people that they do business with, and they will randomly select an appraiser to go ahead and take a look at this property that you're considering buying. The purpose of it is to make sure that the property and then independent appraisers mind, based on a uniform residential appraisal report that they're going to do, that the property is worth the amount of money that you're paying, and that there aren't repairs necessary that would possibly jeopardize your ability to get a loan for that property if those repairs are not done. It's different than a home inspection. Appraisers are looking for different things, and it depends on the kind of mortgage that you're getting as far as what they would be looking at specifically with the physical characteristics or defects that might need to be corrected. Generally, they're looking to establish value, so it's nothing to be worried about. They're looking at how many bedrooms, how many baths, what is the square footage. They're measuring the property. They're looking at the garage. They're looking at the location. They're looking at amenities. They're looking at all aspects of the property. And what they're doing is they're taking that subject property and they are comparing other properties that are like kind properties or similar properties is probably a better way to put it, comparable properties. And they're using those properties to compare to the one that you're thinking of buying. And that's how they arrive at the value. They look at the comparables. They see how they compare. They make value-related adjustments on their appraisal report. And they use some different methods for establishing value. And what they do is they come up with an opinion of value that they then send with their report back to the lender. And let's say it comes in at the value that you're paying or higher, then nothing to worry about. You're beyond that point. What if it comes up short? What if the property contract purchase price is $300,000 and the appraisal comes in at $280,000? Well, what happens then? Then there may be a renegotiation that takes place. The seller may take a little bit less on the property than what was being offered. The buyer could possibly put up more cash because they're only going to be able to borrow so much based on the value that the appraiser is coming up with, or it may be a combination of both. So hopefully through negotiation, if there's a gap in the appraisal, it can be addressed, it can be taken care of. Every situation is different. Sometimes, yes, a deal could fall apart because an appraisal falls short. It doesn't really happen that often in my marketplace. We don't have much of that going on, but occasionally we do, and we do our best to try to solve the problem, get through that bump in the road, and continue to head down the real estate highway until we can get to a closing. So the appraisal is a very important part of the process. Sometimes it's done in person. Most of the time it is. There are also times, though, when the bank may waive or lender may waive the requirement for an in-person appraisal, and it might be able to be done just through computer data and a report that's being generated. But most of the time, the appraiser will need to make an appointment. They will come through, they'll take a look at the property, take measurements, take photos, take a few days to go ahead and do their report, and then send it back to the lender. So the appraisal is an important part of the process. Question I get a lot is, can an appraisal be contested? Can it be reviewed for possible change? And the answer is yes. There's a process that you can go through. If the appraisal came in short and maybe one of the realtors or the seller or somebody else thinks that it was done erroneously based on their review of the appraisal report, then in fact, yes, a request for a review can be done. An appraiser doesn't necessarily have to adjust or revise their appraisal. It's a conversation that will take place. You should speak to your lender about it if you think that there's an issue with the appraised value versus the value on the purchase price. In addition to that, practices might vary a little bit from community to community, from appraiser to appraiser, from lender to lender, but there are some uniform appraisal standards that keep everything consistent within that realm. So that's just kind of a general appraisal 101 discussion. If you have more questions about appraisals or how they can affect your purchase in your home, please let me know. One thing I will say is that oftentimes there's confusion between home inspection repairs and appraisal or lender required repairs. They're not the same thing. And also, the appraised value is not the assessed value that's used to calculate your taxes. Those things are also confused from time to time, and it's just because people aren't familiar with the lingo or the terminology. So we can get that straightened out for you too if there's any confusion about the language that's being used. Jeff Roney with Keller Williams Realty. We're approaching the holiday period here, and happy holidays to everybody, and we'll be talking to you again soon. Thanks very much, and have a great rest of your week.